There's a difference.
So they have to get out and turn it off.
My eyeballs.
I don't know why that's your trouble.
Oh, I think it's little.
Yeah.
Call the council meeting for March 23rd. We order, it is 4:03. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. We'll hold comments to the end of the meeting. We've got a lot to get through here. If you have a specific question of a issue, please raise your hand.
Now or later?
At the time of the issue.
I didn't know if you were gonna make a list of us.
Oh, yeah, no. And address the council. Of course, this is the time to address council, not each other in the galleries, so. All right, minutes. Are there any inaccuracies or changes ever noted? What's that?
I'm good.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Make a motion to accept the March 9th, 2021 minutes as written.
And a second,
I'll second.
all in favor? All opposed?
That was no, I didn't see my motion.
Unanimously. All right, OTEC bill. It's standard as always. Total $963.49. Entertain a motion, to pay the bill.
I just have a question about
Oh, sorry, Tony.
how much are the street lights, and are people calling in when they aren't working, since paying quite a bit for them?
I have had people call in and they give me a poll number, or I'll send the guys to go get a poll number.
Yeah, because there's that one on Bonanza.
Well, I haven't gotten a call on Bonanza.
Okay, I'll get some.
Where is it, Tony?
I think it was, over by Donaldson,
All
somewhere in there.
you have to do is call Stephanie with OTEC. I've already done it 3 or 4 times up and down the street. And give her the poll number.
That's what I just said. Just call City
Oh, I
Hall.
can-
I'll have the guys go get the poll number and we'll get it called in.
It's one of those that doesn't go out until the lights. Goes out.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion we pay our OTEC bill as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
I didn't mention this last time, but I did get a hold of Century League for telephone people. They got our contract, well, we don't have a contract, but they got us down $420.60 a year. And our fax machine went down from 40 to 30. But if we still don't need a fax machine, we could save on that one too. A 2-year contract would only save us $10 a month. It's not worth getting into a contract for. And she said, call in a year and they'll negotiate again.
Being that we have somebody that's tech savvy, do we use the fax?
No, I just got the last thing, and that was the locates. They are no longer faxes because it was costing us money every time we received a fax, and they sent a fax every day. I have it changed over to email. So that was the only thing that came on the fax. The title companies email me now. They don't fax anything.
Yeah, those are the only two things that I remember getting outside of me faxing, but. I don't know.
But you can scan an email now.
Yeah, right.
But it's just a matter of if a customer comes in and needs something faxed. That's the only. But I guess they can go to the library and do that.
The IRS still won't do faxes. Or does faxes, not emails.
So you could eliminate that for all practical purposes.
And if we have something for the IRS to fax, we can go down to Rob.
Well, it's like something has to be signed by the city for something.
Yeah.
Marcia, what were those numbers again on the century?
It winds up being $420.60 a year that we're saving. I mean, it's not much, but it helps. They took our fax bill from 40 to 30. We're paying $14.40 a month for being in 4 different directories, telephone directories.
We still have those?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why we're in 4, but we are.
Question?
Yeah.
You guys entertain the idea of these electronic signatures? The subscription of those, some are free and some of, when you have to send something back and forth to get signed, that would be something to look into. If they're legal documents. Buy a house with them, never see a dealer, never see a seller.
That's through that doc sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discussion on the fax machine.
Well, if we don't need it, that's something we can.
And there still is one in town at the library. I just don't know, what the position the city's in on if they need a fax machine, but it's still.
We have one at the store too.
You got one at the
You're
store.
welcome to use if needed.
Do we have a document sign program on our computer yet?
No, if you sign something, I just scan it and email it back. It's not an electronic signature.
Well, that doc sign's just an app, you just download it anyway. I've used it. So that'd save us a little if we want to get rid of it, I can call.
That's a month's pay for Tim.
You can always get it back.
Yeah, we still have the machine, so I mean, it's not like we find we need it, we can go back to it.
Any other discussion?
I move we get rid of it.
All right, second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I'll
Aye. All
call
opposed?
Call
Passed
them.
unanimously. Every little bit helps. Okay, the Center Volunteer Community invoice for flea markets. I know that there are some questions as to, the first one we received is different than this last one. I think it's a matter of policy that since the volunteers have volunteered to help for a percentage of the gross, as a matter of policy, the city needs the records, the applications, and so forth, just to have a file here. Volunteers keep copies, so we're all on the same page. But I think it's going to take some examination before we come to agreement on the amount. So, John, is that something that you guys can provide for us?
I'm sure Nancy has every record you want. I would suggest you assign one person to work with Nancy and bring the rest of it up to the council. and she has always had invoices and the receipt book for every vendor down there. And plus, the year you're talking about, we not only collected from the grounds, but because the office seemed to be closed a lot, we picked up a lot of the money from the vendors downtown, that I know there were quite a few vendors that never paid. But I had people coming to me and I said, go up to Nancy and she'll take care of it. And she did. So not only did we take care of the grounds, we took care of a good share of the vendors down here in downtown.
Yeah, the Memorial Day weekend, we got caught,
Yeah.
flat-footed, and I did too. I worked this side of town.
I know you got some of them,
Yeah,
and I had a lot of people asking, I sent them to Nancy, because I knew that was the source, so.
yeah.
But I'm sure, work with Marcia or somebody or Linda and just get all the records you want, knowing her. She'll have everything
Yeah.
done.
I'm sure. Okay. Does the council member want to volunteer to kind of spearhead that? Make sure everything's covered and we can examine it.
Why are y'all looking at me? Why are y'all looking at me? Yeah, I'll work with Nancy. I'll get all the records from her and maybe come down here and use the table down here and go through it with
Good. Yeah, we just need to get it sorted out so we can get paid. There was a refund request for Memorial Day. Being that we don't know exactly what we're doing yet, and they are making plans accordingly. So the refund was $150. When you got that?
45.
145. So, and that's reasonable.
Did that check come through the city?
I would imagine so. It was all those, they paid, and it was one of those where they were just gonna roll it over to this year.
They paid last year.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm sure it's been cash.
So where is the money now? Is it with Nancy or is it with us?
It should be in our bank.
Rob,
account. We can verify that with Rob.
Can I ask a question about that? Are we done with that?
Pardon?
Are we done with that? Or are we gonna have a motion?
Oh, on the SB, getting the records?
No,
paying this bill.
refund.
it. Yeah.
Oh, we're in discussion with that right now.
Okay, I have a question on the record here.
Uh-huh.
What's this electricity thing? Is she reselling our electricity?
So when they come, they pay $35 if they want electric
On
On our hookup something.
That's what that is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
a
not-
fee to hook up.
Yeah, because you were in the same vendor in 2019 paid exactly the same amount, the same stuff.
No, I just got, some vendors want electricity up there, some don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, discussion on the refund?
Well, I have a question, because now I'm confused by Martin's question. Is that the city's power?
Yeah.
And they're charging the city for the power?
Yes.
No.
No, we're charging the
We're
vendor.
collecting-
We're charging the vendor, but the city gets billed for it.
And we're collecting the money from the vendor for the electricity they use.
And we're paying Nancy a commission to do it for us.
Yeah, whoever's, the boys have been up there doing it. I've done it.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Just to unlock it, lock it at the end, and then the usage.
Kind of put it in layman's terms, if you wanted to come to the fairgrounds and you wanted a space, that's a flat fee of this. If you want power, then we take that and added it to the fee. That's what these people wanted, that's what they paid for. Now we're gonna give them back their money because they're not coming. That's where the power bill that Mark, because it's on there.
not going to Nancy. It's going to
No,
volunteers,
that's right.
and it's going right back into the city.
No, Nancy, at that meeting we had of the flea market, Nancy told us that the city owed the volunteers for power. We were going,
Water and power.
yeah, water and power, what are you reselling it?
I think what she's referring to is that's part of the overall flea market management package. And that percentage that we've agreed to give the volunteers for helping us out, that is part of that.
Great.
Yeah,
It's running the whole thing. They're up there 15 hours a day in some cases.
Right.
So,
So the request of this vendor, who can't make decision to be here because we don't know what we're doing and would like to reschedule someplace else, it sounds like. So they're just asking for a refund. Do we have a motion to refund that reservation fee?
Sure.
Okay. Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right, that's refunded.
Renee, if you want to check on that amount, or check, there a check number on this too.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So we can actually.
I'll check with Rob.
Yeah, we can actually locate her check.
All right, Tim, please. Report. And if we ask anybody that's watching on our TV station, please listen, this is important. So speak loudly.
With water right now, we're busy going to Macaulay Creek every day and cleaning screens. We have a lot of runoff, so our screens get hammered, so that's an extra trip up there every day right now. It's gonna come into, once it really starts melting, to possibly at the worst every 3 hours to clean screens up there. So Jeff and I will take turns doing that, so one person isn't doing it all. And then the other big thing we've got going on right now, big concern, is we've got a water leak and we can't find it. We've been looking for 5 days now for it. We can't find our water leak, and it's about 50 gallon a minute, 45, 50. So that's a 3/4 inch line wide open somewhere. It could be inside of somebody's house. It could be under the snow, but it'll melt the snow sooner or later. But we're looking for it. And the only problem we have, we've turned up our water to accommodate the 50 gallon a minute loss to keep our tanks full. So we have fire depression and stuff. But the problem is if this time of year with the water temperature really cold, it takes more contact time for our chlorine to meet state spec. So if we can only go up so far with our water intake at this point, because our water is so cold and we have to have so much contact time that we're real critical on being almost out of compliance. We're not at this point, and we're running we went from 110 gallons a minute coming in to 185. And I think we could probably, the water temperatures come up a little bit, so we could probably, we're checking every day, we're doing the numbers to make sure we're still in compliance, because we don't want to be out. We don't want to have to send another letter out saying that we didn't meet contact time on our chlorine. So if anybody could notice a leak, and whether they know it's a leak or don't know it's a leak, if they see water bubbling out of the ground pretty good, give the city a call. We don't care if we get 50 calls, we'll go check it out. So, but it's a concern mainly because we've got 50 gallons a minute of treated chlorine water going somewhere that we don't need to be treating that much water to begin with, and then we're real close to being out of compliance on our contact time. So
we're asking for help. If you see
anybody
water run out of
look
somebody's
over to the neighbor's house
or
or see a big bare spot, in the snow that shouldn't be there, or whatever, give us a call. And I mean, we're driving and looking for it, but we haven't found it, so.
difficult time of year to hunt it down.
And there's a little difference this year too in the snow that's melting off. We didn't get a freeze this year in our ground like we normally do. And so all the snow that's actually melting right now, we're being saved a little bit because every night it's still freezing. We've only had 2 days that it didn't freeze during the night. But all the water pretty much that's melting is actually going into the ground where in years past, even with the sunshine and what melting we've had going on, it would just be running down the roads and the ditches. But we're not getting that. So a lot of water that's going into the ground could be coming up somewhere else, but we can check it and see if it's chlorinated water that's bubbling up out of the ground or not. We can determine whether it's a leak or not for sure. But it could be a meter base, it could be inside the house. We don't know for sure right now. But it's a bad time of year for a leak, snow wise and temperature wise. So.
All right.
About it, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah, John.
I'd like to just say, thank you to Tim and Jeff for doing such a great job plowing roads with what you got to work with.
Every year is getting
Yeah,
better.
appreciate it.
So, yeah, absolutely. Does the fire department have a report?
No, we've had no activity, just training, and I know Kurt will want to address that grant if we go after it. We're working on things.
How's the siren working?
We're still working on the checklist, and the next meeting, whoever shows up. I have the first rewrite of the planning commission ordinance, and I want that to present so we can start working through that and get council something to do. I know you're bored.
And would you like to mention again the open house?
April 6th, we are having a combination open house with Powder River, and it's for everyone in the community. It is a recruitment drive to get people into the volunteer fire department, into both of them, because both departments are losing people. People are just aging out. And I would like to add that it is not a full-time, every 2 Tuesdays a month commitment, and I will explain how you could really help us out if you would come to that meeting and sit down with some pizza, and I'm trying to talk Clyde into making lasagna, so.
You know, I want to say too, you know, I'm not a young guy.
Hey, we all do what we can. I
Yeah, absolutely, and
mean, I'm finally coming out of AFib, you know what I mean?
yeah, I'll do that.
And I just went through firefighter 1 at 69 years old, jumping out of windows, climbing ladders, all houses, so it can be done.
And, you
Where's
know,
the meeting at?
Schoolhouse.
yeah, I mean,
Or
it would be
community center.
at our community center, schoolhouse,
And-
behind the gas station.
And I'll explain it there, but you don't have to go all the way to get firefighter 1. If you want to, great, but you don't have to. You can still help in any situation. And I see you're listening, Tim, you better be.
I was gonna mention, you know,
Hey, weren't you guys talking about age a minute ago?
you're the youngest one.
Hey, I'm still there.
No, actually,
He's the kid, Zach's the kid.
you know, you want to really put the word out to a lot of the newer people that have moved here in the last few months, the last couple of years. It's a great way to get to know the community, and to help out. You know, and it's good camaraderie. How do you say that? Camaraderie.
You make more friends.
Yeah, and you know, I can't do some of the work because of how crippled I am, but I can push buttons and drive.
You would be amazed at what you could do, and everyone here would be amazed at what they could do.
Yeah.
And ladies, you are invited too. This is not some men's club. You are invited too.
So put the word out, see if anybody might be interested in being part of that. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to old business. The city attorney RFP, was there any corrections? I know there's some typos. Anything in this semi-final draft that we'd like to change? I saw one under. It reads okay on paper, it's my phone. The app didn't translate over. Marcia, did you find some?
No, not in this one.
No.
No.
Linda? Charlie? Martin? No?
But I can't proofread either.
You have people for that?
Well, yeah, but because I know what it's supposed to say.
Yeah.
I can read right past it there.
Sure. Well, if there isn't anything to add, subtract, or corrections.
Now we're gonna put an ad in the papers, or are we doing this reaching out directly? So we decided to reach out directly.
We were gonna go through the LOC site
Okay.
and then send a request to the BOM and the Van Thiel
Yeah.
organizations.
About Corey Butter,
Corey,
Dyer.
I know we had a list of,
yeah,
we had a list of 4.
was there 4?
Maybe.
Okay, but
Okay, this is,
Renee, do you have the list of those that we mentioned at the last meeting?
No.
So we had Dan Van Thiel, White Bomb, LOC, advertised there. And Corey, do you want to spell his last name, Martin?
Corey's one guy, C-O-R-E-Y, Byler, B-Y-L-E-R.
B-Y-O-E-R?
B-Y-L-E-R.
Oh,
And Rue, R-E-W.
and do you have the 4th one?
no, didn't find it, so. I can't see it.
That meets our due diligence, so. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion then to accept this RFP as presented, and, well, let's take that step first.
Make a motion to accept the RSVP as presented.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, next we'll entertain a motion to send the RFP out to LOC, Van Thiel, Laren, and organizations.
Is this just about the civic people?
Make a motion to send the RSP to Baum, Byler, Van Thiel, and the LOC.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, the ATV ordinance. Is there any final corrections, deletions, or additions? And I believe we're at the step where if we approve it as written, it will send it to LOC rather than post it to have them review it.
I do have a question.
Yes.
And this just came to my attention yesterday.
if we require the flags on them, most people don't have them. How are people from out of town gonna know, and who's gonna enforce it? Or the sheriff's just gonna pull people over and say, you gotta have a flag.
Steve, you have an answer?
Why do I get confused with Steve all the time?
Get your mask off.
Mike?
Those flags are identified for ATV stuff, generally on beaches or in mountain roads, so you can see them before they crest the hill. I don't think they're needed in a town like this. I mean, Martin's correct, it doesn't make any sense, and people are not gonna come here and not expect to have it. Even though it says in the ATV guide about flags and stuff for safety reasons, it's really set up for the beaches and the sand dunes and things like that. People can see you coming before you crest the hill.
We do have our sand dunes, they're white. In the wintertime, summertime, I mean, you can see, yeah, obviously. Winter times, I mean, it's hard enough to see a car or a truck.
Well, if you take a look at it, and look at some of these side by sides, they're bigger than some of these cars that drive around town. So I'm not sure that's just my opinion. I'm not sure it's really necessary.
It has become a very unpopular
So,
subject on there and all, and it's.
Well, my question is, because we say all ATVs, and because of whatever class it is that classifies your vehicle, that means you gotta put one on your car, one on your truck. It's considered an ATV and it falls under that class.
No, because our description here doesn't deal with class 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a simple thing to cross out and get rid of.
Yeah.
I just liked it for the safety, because I knew if they were going in town and they hit the highway, it would be the safety factor.
You know,
The term might be.
I gotta figure out what to do with it when I'm up in the woods.
and to address the enforcement issue, we don't have a police force. We are hit and miss whenever the sheriff or the state police might be in the vicinity. And that applies to everything, whether it's robbing the store or a dog running loose. So that's kind of a non-issue. It's enforced when it's enforced, but as far as availability, we'd have to accommodate the store maybe, or somebody would have to accommodate selling them. But I think we understand the issue. It's not summertime. It's basically a wintertime issue. But Ron, you have a comment.
Like Steve was saying, I did some homework on it, and it is mostly for sand dunes, places like that. And so objectively looking at it, we'd have to look over the last 5 years, which Mill Street, this is new. This is a whole new thing. But have we had any visibility caused accidents without the flags?
Right.
Not that we want one.
No,
We don't want that to
But
happen.
what's the evidence?
But I believe this, so far, it is for the sand dunes, and we haven't had that type of accident yet.
And we trained for the UTVs, the side-by-side, in case we had an accident roll over. We haven't had anything yet. We're just kind of waiting for it. But I would suggest you don't buy one, because just go up on Sawmill where the trees get low and you can start picking them up by the dozens here in not too long. Marcia said it, what are you gonna do with it? You tie it down, I've seen it. And the tree's gonna take these things off. Ron, you better stock about 100,000 of them.
Nate, what was the determining factor of needing flags?
I think it was mainly Mill Street.
On Mill Street, you cannot make people have flags on Mill Street.
Was aware of that. It
You
was,
can't, you have no jurisdiction on Mill Street.
But
The state, but, so all it does is put a burden on the people that live here in the neighborhood. If you get off there, then you need a flag.
Okay?
Steve?
One last thing, for terminology purposes, refer to OHV, off-highway vehicles. That's what the state refers to all side-by-sides, quads, motorcycle, OHV, off-highway vehicle.
All right, one last comment.
It's always something that can be looked at, see how it goes. If there's an accident and it's a safety issue, you can always
Add it to
have this
our-
discussion again.
Last.
All right. Okay, there's also one thing. When we started working with the parks to get that legal, we did it for the community people so they could drive to the store or whatever, instead of going all over neighborhoods, okay? That's why we did it. We've had nothing but good reviews from 99% of the people here. But the one with the speed, I've caught myself out here going, oh shit, I'm picking up gust, look, I'm going 22. If you go down to 15, it's just a little underneath the tires, but raising the speed limit to 20 miles an hour is just gonna make more dust. So I urge you to leave it at 15 up there. Mill Street is its own thing. So all the other neighborhoods, I ask you to leave it at 15 to keep the dust down.
Listed in here, and the contacts I made is we would have to have a feasibility study to drop it more than 5 miles per hour. It is legal to do 25 in a residential, so they said we could only go down to 20. The 15s, we have posted around town, individuals have, in the past have posted those, but 25s are legal and it only lets go down 5.
I think most people accept that the quad, the ATV speed is 15, so if you just post your neighborhood residential speeds and encourage the quads to travel 15, you'll find most people will do that.
Can you do 2 speed limits like they do on the freeway? The trucks are 70 or 65 and the cars are 25 or whatever, ATVs 15.
We gotta buy these signs.
Can you do that? Well, that's why I told you I want to try to make some money with the association too. Do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's listed in the ordinance for 20, just because we had to do that study.
I think the sign should say, if you're in the car making dust, you're going too fast.
You can't do that.
I still think they should.
Okay, you can't.
Sold me.
Well, I mean, it may take further study and research to see if there's a loophole we could lower it for ATVs, but as it stands right now, from the research we have been able to do, it looks like 20 miles per hour on our city streets is as low as we can go, and that would be for all vehicles. So, Marcia, when you're walking, you gotta keep it under 20.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can leave our 15s up and that'll really just make it. We don't have to put the 20s, just leave the 15s that we have now and call it good.
Is there any other?
Yes, I want a clarification on
Yeah.
something. On the, if you put in here, for state requirements, are we going to enforce or request that the citizens that are riding on the dirt road wear helmets?
What'd you say, Linda?
Helmets on the city road, on the city dirt roads.
It's been a state law since
I said
1973.
it's the state law, but are we enforcing it? Because we have not forever.
Well, you certainly don't want to put in for nothing.
Right, but I mean,
Enforcement.
okay, so what we're just gonna,
But that's in a
so the answer to everybody is per the state laws when they ask, and Tony had asked me why we're doing
Yes.
this. Okay.
So what we're crossing out then is under section 5, number 4, taking out the flag. And then sending this to, I mean, is it something we need to send to Locke? It's one of our better ordinances.
Well, let's deal with first, is there any other deletions, additions, or corrections?
I got one more, Greg. The 10 PM to 7 AM, okay?
it's not even an emergency, because I mean, a lot of guys leave and get out and they're gone, well, 5 o'clock in the morning.
If you talk to them, it is, yes.
It is. They gotta get out there. They leave about 4 in the morning. You can get
Kilkenny is, I know that.
Yeah.
Does that ordinance address speed limit on Mill Street and whether or not there's a driver has to have a driver's license?
Yeah.
That,
ATV license, I think.
yeah, Mill Street is under state jurisdiction.
Okay, so if you're on Mill Street, you're gonna need a driver's license.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, very good.
And liability insurance.
Was there anything else to delete or add or typos?
Yeah, we got the typos done earlier today.
Okay.
There was some hands and hands.
So if this ordinance is acceptable to the rest of the council, I'll entertain a motion to accept ordinance 2021-1 as written with the deletion of section 5, number 4, concerning the requirement to have a flag on the vehicle. There's no motion, we'll table it.
No, make a motion to accept ordinance number 2021, the Center ATV ordinance, with the exception of taking out on section 5, number 4, dealing with the flags.
Is there a second?
To post at a later date and vote on at a later.
What?
Post, yeah, to be
We have to post
posted
it
on
and
a
read
later
it.
date.
It's an ordinance, it has to be read.
There's a motion on the table to accept the ordinance as written with the deletion of section 5, number 4. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Passed unanimously. Procedural action at this point is we need to post it. Before we do that, do we want to send this, do we feel it's necessary to send this to LOC for review?
It just eats up our time, doesn't it?
This, just so everybody knows, this was based on different templates, different ordinances, our old one. So the terminology is mostly legalese off of those, but we did adapt some of it. So, Martin, do you have an opinion on whether we need to have it reviewed or?
You know, it doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt.
It's not gonna take them long.
What?
It's not gonna take them long to look at it, it's not long.
As a practical matter, the suit's never gonna get enforced anyway.
This one, ordinance, not like the others, deals more with our transient population, where the others don't so much. My opinion is because of that and any liabilities towards the city, you know, I would prefer to have it looked at, but if the rest of you are comfortable with it, I'm good with that too.
Let's go ahead and have them look at it. It's not gonna take them long to review this.
Is there a motion to send this to LOC for a legal review?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Now,
Passed
is this
unanimously.
something that we can post for 30 days and then we only have to read by title first and second time, or does it have to be read by?
We have several options.
Right. It's just like any other ordinance, the same procedure.
Just a review first and then move forward on it.
Until it gets back to law.
Okay, so next step is, let's get this sent over to LLC. Okay, use of city buildings, we haven't dealt with that at this point. Trying to get this other stuff done. Once we can get to our buildings a little easier, that'd be a little easier to proceed on that one. Workshops, museum and rec house. Do we have a date yet, John, where we can get together?
Now, what is the issue on the White House, and Tony is here for issue on the museum? I'm curious why this needs a workshop,
We're reevaluating part of that process, use of city buildings. These are the first two issues because they are under contract. Is to evaluate the current standing of the use of those two buildings. And as the council has discussed, some open-minded options of other directions that we haven't considered before. So we want to involve everybody that's involved with those two buildings.
well, I hope so, because the volunteers are probably at the White House. When we build that front porch structure, in the last year and a half, we put pretty close to $4,000 into that building and have started bringing it back up. As soon as we get the snow, we'll start working on the snow splitter all over the front steps again, because that is a hazard. Now, the city doesn't have the money to do that, and yet we can make the money, like at the grounds we have, and hot dog stand and the whole bit, and we can bring that building around. Now,
Yeah, and that's part of the consideration. So we'd just like to sit down as council and as the volunteer board, and let's find out what direction we're going, timeframe,
okay,
how we might be able to,
all right, you can all come help work on it, because that's where the time frame comes in. By the way, we have not received the invoice from the city for the lease of the White House. It's $1. That's per contract. And so if someone could send Nancy an invoice, then we'll get the $1 pay, or I'll pay it right now and get a receipt for it. So we have our lease agreement.
well, that's part of that meeting whole thing, so we'll tackle all that at once. So, I think we're pretty flexible, 4 o'clock and later on any day, we'll take holiday March schedule, would be best for us, but let's set a date and sit down. So you want to get back to Renee on that?
Anytime between now and April 15th, Lila and I are gonna hit the road on the 15th, go get our trailer, spend a couple of weeks. So anytime between now and then, I'd be happy to come in and tell council what we've done. We still have the money left to work on it, even though we didn't have the income last year. And kind of lay out the plans as they seem to be laying out. But we have $1,500 worth of supplies in the building right now that we have already purchased. Anyway, when we get together, I'll go into that.
Okay.
We had a workshop on the museum, wasn't
We did.
Were we redoing the memorandum?
Pardon?
Were we redoing the memorandum of agreement?
Yes.
I think part of the memorandum is we'd like to see the, oh shoot. Oh, the 501c papers.
Hmm.
I would like to see the 501c papers and some of the financials.
Okay, so April 13th is council. April 7th and 9th are not good for me. The rest of this month is free for me. Martin, do you know your schedule between now and the end of the month, in the late afternoons?
No, on 8th, I've got, court hearing. And I think on the 2nd of April. Aside from that, I can't tell you the rest of it, but I'll try to accommodate it.
Okay. How about next week? Your afternoon's open.
Let's see, next week, what day?
Doesn't matter.
How about Friday?
Friday? Does that work for you guys? 4 o'clock?
Maybe, maybe not, but you can have it without me.
Is that interfering with someone's swilling hour?
Pardon?
I mean,
John, what,
Now, what day are you talking
would
about?
next Friday work?
Not this Friday.
Next one.
April 2nd.
Would be the 2nd.
Oh, wait, you just said you had something on the second.
Oh, I-
No,
No.
wait a minute. That's not right.
He said on the-
Second and 8th.
Oh, second and eighth.
Okay. I'm looking at the wrong week.
April 1st.
Today's
April.
23rd.
What about April 1st?
Yeah, April 1st, next
April
Thursday. Something like that was good.
Okay, what time?
4? Does that work, John?
Yep, that works.
April 1st.
4 o'clock.
Can I, as long as we're on that subject, back up just a minute, because I forgot, is it possible to see the agreement for the Sumter Valley? I don't have it, for the Sumter Valley on the fairgrounds and stuff.
Oh, fairgrounds.
For running the fairgrounds, is there an agreement for that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lynn's got it.
well, I don't know if I brought it, but let's see.
Yeah, I don't have one of those.
And we'll just be here, John.
Yep.
And there's not one in the office either, I know that. So I need to get that.
I'm sure Nancy has a copy of it.
Yeah.
I've got a copy too that I can bring down.
Okay, good. Update on flea markets. We're still kind of in flux. You know, I wasn't at that meeting, so
Well, we just need to set another workshop,
I
right?
set another workshop on it. We got a little bit more information.
Well, the merchants were gonna do a presentation of what their idea was, if they took it over.
They have a meeting, I believe, Friday, don't they?
Friday, 10 o'clock at the museum, what I was told.
Okay, so they were going to bring that to the council then.
All right, so
For us to consider also.
let's wait then for the presentation. City website and online bill pay update. Are we set up?
City website is set up. It does have a municipal impact until we can get that domain switched over, but the domain will be cityofsumteror.com. It is, if you go to cityofsumteror.municipalimmpact.com, you'll see it. It's coming up. It's coming along. It's going to be another week and a half or so for the online bill pay to take effect.
What was the second website you mentioned?
The City of Sumter OR.municipalimmpact.com. And that should come up because they're the hosting. And so once we get that, once municipal impact gets just switched over to our domain, then it would be cityofsumteror.com.
Greg, are we setting a workshop for the flea market? They're having a meeting on Friday after that, or?
Let's wait till they do the presentation and then we'll.
What is it?
I thought they
Were they planning on bringing it
They were
to
gonna
council
bring it
or
to the
should we set up a
workshop.
workshop to do that?
They're gonna discuss it,
And they were gonna
at their meeting, they'll come up with some consensus, so then they need to get to city council, either in a workshop or whatever,
Right.
present that to them, and then at the same time, we probably ought to have a workshop, but the sooner the better, the clock is ticking.
Maybe we need to do a workshop on it and have them bring the stuff to us so we can.
Well, if they're getting together on Friday the 26th. How about Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday? We'll just schedule it and they'll just have to come with what they got.
Yeah, I'm
I
thinking,
mean, it's a work in progress, so.
yeah, right, I probably would think Tuesday or Wednesday better than Monday, because I know some of the key players are busy on Mondays cleaning up rooms and stuff like that, so.
Right. Right.
30th, Tuesday?
Tuesday? Does that work?
Tuesday, what date?
30th.
30th. 4 o'clock,
Okay,
okay?
will you send notices out
But you said
by
Tuesday.
email, Renee?
The 30th.
Thank you.
At 4.
Yeah, they're getting,
Put it wrong down.
Bring everything together.
Okay. All right, that'll be good to get that going. New business, signers on the city lines of credit, all the other accounts. Where do we have with that, Renee? Do we have documents that we?
No, it was just brought to light when Marcia got a hold of the phone company that Tony was still on it, Julie was still on it. So then that made me start thinking about our lines of credit in town being Ace Hardware, Miller's Lumber, all of that. So somebody with authority of signing needs to contact all of those businesses, remove names and add current names.
Miller's and Ace are taken care of.
Because I just went down there 2 weeks ago and I wasn't on there. The guys asked me to pick something up, or not 2 weeks ago, it was a little bit longer than that, but I wasn't able to pick it up.
Yeah, and Ace, they should have mentioned this, the understanding with Ace is.
No, Miller's. Miller's.
Oh, at Miller's? Any of those, that, you know, if they call and get a hold of Linda or I, we can approve it, you know, verbally.
Okay.
but they have records, it's just a matter of her calling and saying, this is the council.
Or one of
These are
you
the
guys
people
calling
that
and
are
saying-
Authorized to
Oh, yeah,
do
yeah.
things, that's all she's
So-
trying to get done on those.
Right.
Didn't we do a new contract with commercial tires last year?
Pardon?
Didn't we do a new contract with commercial tires?
We did.
And change that over?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess we just need to make a list of vendors that we do regular business with, and go down the list.
Napa? Napa? Carquest?
So Renee's gonna take care of that then, she call all those people.
Yeah, she can. get
Do
the
I have
list.
that authority?
No, if you can get the list, give it to me and I'll take care of it. Budget committee, Rob has said he won't, we don't need to, but we won't do anything with it until after April 15th. So 5 of us know we have to be here. If there's any residents that would like to be considered to be on the budget committee, we encourage you to start thinking about it now. And if you would like to, a written request would be appreciated. Submit it to the office. And then we'll have to schedule according to Rob's availability. So as we get a little closer, we'll get that scheduled. Any other issues from council? Okay, we'll open it up to concerns or questions from the public. We ask that you try to keep the subjects on what we've dealt with here in our discussions during this meeting, or any other issues that will be coming up, between now and Memorial Day. Talk about the flea market, if that's something somebody wants to talk about, that's applicable, so.
So we can share it with the merchants on Friday. Is it the contention of the city would prefer to have the flea market downtown, in the fairgrounds, or both?
One of the issues, back in the old days, it was almost all downtown. But as society became more aware of the ability to take advantage of lawsuits, liabilities for private homeowners, or private landowners, kind of took front seat. Coupled with the downtown area was full, we opened up the fairgrounds for the overflow. But the result of the litigation possibility, a lot of people said we don't want to have people on our land anymore. The only place to put them was up at the fairgrounds. So I wouldn't say at this point the council has any opinion on that. We're looking at all the options.
Sure.
So what is going to be best for the flea market and the residents of the residents, and something that the city, if it's involved, the city being City Hall, can accommodate and be financially liquid on.
So on the insurance side of it, again, because if the merchants end up doing it downtown and opt to use private property, the private property owners are on their own to get their liability insurance. So if I'm reading between the lines here, it looks like there's going to be a mix between the fairgrounds and downtown City Park.
It's possible.
Okay.
Maybe ideally, it would be one thing that we don't have to live in an
Yeah,
ideal
they're
world.
still
So,
working on doing it.
if it's possible to still continue this legacy that we've had for 50 years, in a beneficial way that benefits everybody, then sure. If there are financial issues, to make sure that all entities are able to say in red, then is it the red or black? Black.
Used to be red or
Yeah, above the numbers with a minus sign in front of it.
Well, I think it's understood that the city can't afford to pay for stuff out of their pocket. They gotta make themselves whole when the thing's over with. So, I just want a little information so you can pass it on, talk about it. And
Yeah.
so they got some firepower and you guys got firepower and you get together the following Tuesday.
At this point, we're still gathering any ideas, and as we crunch our numbers a little further, the city will know its baseline. And, that will help direct the thought processes on which direction do we go or do we not go. So, next meeting will be, on that'll be Monday or Tuesday. And, Tuesday, yeah. And we'll just keep taking the steps as quick as we can on it, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it's brainstorm session. So, yeah. Anything else?
One
John?
question, the ATV, OHV thing. Now, the rules coming in, that only applies if you're going down Mill Street? Or does it apply if you're crossing Mill Street, on all city streets and all this type of stuff?
This ordinance applies to city streets,
Okay,
not Mill Street.
okay.
So,
Not Mill Street because it's state.
right,
Yeah, okay. I've heard a lot of rumors,
yeah.
so as soon as that goes out, but
These are, to correct this a little bit, what I just said, it's not just city streets, it's the city proper itself. You know, all our boundaries. Some of the streets we have that aren't developed, they look like they're an ATV trail, but they're actually a street.
Yeah.
You know, like right up here at the end of Mill Street.
well, over here.
Yeah, right over here. So, you know, that, it applies to all, anything within the city boundaries.
Where can we get that? Is there a website to pull that ATV for Mill Street that the state did?
Yeah,
And the
there's,
parks?
The regulations are at the goalposts on the bulletin board.
Yeah, because I know Mike has it down at his place too, because that there tells you exactly what you gotta have to ride on Mill Street.
you know, the
No
pamphlet-
ifs or buts about it.
I think if we get the pamphlet that's down at the DMV, I'm sure it wouldn't cost us anything to get those, you know. Yeah, but they have a real thorough, very well presented.
They're online as well.
There will be two sets of rules, one for Mill Street and one for City Street.
But what rules, John?
Oh, I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, insurance,
Yeah,
I mean, Charlie sat there and said, dude, I'm gonna quote you, Charlie, due to the city got it legal, due to the Patterson, you have to have helmets and insurance. That's been a law since 1973, it's been your ordinance since 2002,
on what though?
on city streets.
City Street, because, okay.
Yeah, it's been in your ordinance since 2003 on city streets, you have to have a helmet and insurance.
You know, it's kind of, it's what John's presenting, has been a problem for small communities everywhere, and that is, we haven't had enforcement, we haven't really had any issues. Most local towns haven't had the influx of these type of vehicles that we have. It's forced us to address it. You know, it's just kind of been a live and let live situation for most communities, including us. But in the last couple of years, it's become obvious it's a situation we've got to get ahead of, thus resulting in this ordinance, working with the sheriff's office as far as them being aware of what it is and doing enforcement when they're not here. So it's going to be an educational process for the next year or two, you know, as we get our return, bunch of people coming in.
And if you go up Cracker Creek, John, it's a different set of rules because it's county.
Yeah. Well,
But
you know,
it's in city
it's-
limits.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's like the COVID thing. Lila and I went in and out of 11, well, not different states, but in and out of different states 11 times. And the rules on the COVID were different.
Yeah.
And I was watching the UTV things, the OHV, and, you know, Tombstone, they're going all over the place. Others, they're out on the doggone quite highways, Idaho, you know? Everything except I-84. It's different everywhere, and it's gonna be a problem for anyone coming in to ride. They're gonna run into a different set of rules. So you're just kind of, I don't know, gonna have to adjust with
It's
it.
gonna take an effort for the merchants, city hall, post office, locals, educating people that may be staying next door, you know, and just, it's gonna be an effort.
It is really gonna be a task.
Think through some of those rules that require state and the OHV manuals, because you start making people wear helmets in town and they're limited to 20 miles an hour, they're gonna drive by and flip you off.
That's an enforcement issue that belongs with the
If
county.
they're going 21, then
So,
Well, the point is,
throw something at them.
The state started to put up signs, he did, I caught him out there by Rick Ferris. He did locates and it snowed. So as soon as the snow's gone, the state will come in and put up signs, I don't know what they'll say or what but they have specific signs that they will put up coming and going through town.
get the manuals, review the manuals, they really dictate it.
Yeah.
There are options for the helmets and that kind of thing. Kids, no, kids helmets.
anything else? Okay, anything else from council?
I move we adjourn.
Oh, wait. We thought that was new business only that you wanted us about what you talked about. We have to question about something else.
Oh. Another public comment?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, is
Okay.
it something that we haven't dealt with in this meeting? So far, I mean, as far as subject.
This is,
No.
this is a new subject. We just arrived back in town with our fifth wheel. And we had called ahead to see about if there were any restrictions parking on our lot down on Mill Street across from Stockade. Once the road to our home on Clifford is clear, we want to move it back up there. But the only requirements for the city that they found was it's $150 yearly fee for situating the trailer in town. But we're going to be moving the trailer to go camping and take it in for repairs. We weren't sure that
And
that
we're
would
going to not
apply
live
to
here
us.
year-round.
Yeah, why don't you introduce yourselves
Oh,
first?
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everybody do it.
I'm Kelly Wilson, this is my
Heather.
wife Heather, our son Zach. And our family has two places here in town. And
Most of the year, we don't know yet.
we've got this fifth wheel that's new to us, and the place down on Mill Street, across from Stockade, had good gravel, and we were able to pull right in there.
We're self-contained. Well, we did plug into electricity, but we don't use that. Sorry.
Yeah, we're just kind of transient. We bought it when we went through Ontario, where we're gonna get some repairs done. We bought one of those portable waste tanks, so we can take our waste down to the RV place and dump it or wherever we need to do.
We are
How are you parked right now?
We're parked, we backed right in across from the stockade,
You know where the
so up against the fence.
is that it?
That would be the driveway that goes right in past the house.
They're between the curves where Steve used to live and the little cabin.
So you're off the shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're on their own property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a long way off.
And we don't know, she wasn't exactly sure the rules, and she did dig to find the stuff and got back to us.
If
It
you're
was
not
awesome.
condition.
Yeah, especially because we're gonna be moving location and going camping with it up to McAuliffe and stuff.
On your property, what kind of facility do you have?
We don't have any
Is it just
place to
a
plug in. I mean, we run a 110 cord just to keep the batteries charged.
Isn't there a 30-day grace period kind of deal? They're not there long-term.
Well, we are gonna be longer than 30 days. So we're leaving, we're gonna be gone in April part-time. We're gonna leave for about a month in the summer, and then we're leaving again in September.
You're gonna wanna come in and get a conditional use permit. And it'll tell you how to fill all that out. And we're gonna
But you have to do that even if it's your own home, that
Yes.
you're parked at?
on a trailer.
Okay, it's, instead of a $150 yearly permit, is there provision for a monthly fee? That way, if we move locations, move it up to our other house, we could have the right address on that month's permit.
They have the A-frame on the backside of Nancy and Leland's place.
Oh,
So
that's where you're gonna move to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they can't get to it because of snow.
The road's too narrow and
The
it's
city
gonna be a
plows it,
river
but
pretty
it's-
soon.
yeah.
Yeah, they just have two places, they can't get in that one.
okay. And you don't have a structure that you pull the fifth wheel under?
We don't. It's just we'll be out here in September and go back down south.
I think the major question to ask is, you're not living in it
We are going to stay in
We are
most of the
staying in
time.
here.
Yeah, Yeah,
But
it's
not
not,
down here.
No,
it's not
Both places,
winterized, and we're not
either
gonna
that or
winterize
it's
it, we have to have the heat on, we're just gonna stay in it.
we're gonna stay in it when it's down here, because Zach has cats. When we stay up at our house, Zach's gonna stay in it, because his cat will be in the house next door.
We have a situation over here on the corner of my street where we have a family that comes in just for the dry months. It's a conditional use permit. You know, they're here 6 months a year, and that's what they pay.
But we can use the same permit for both places. You know, if they
It
150
is
days when we move.
It is site specific, but under these circumstances, I would think just fill out the one for up there.
Okay,
You got permission to be over here,
okay.
you know, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, it's saleable.
This is my spot.
Okay. Well, you gotta be nice to Zach.
We have to shovel our roads, so we will.
Hey, if they're not gonna give you forewarning, they're coming back.
Yeah. Now, Zach, are you gonna be staying in it over here?
No, he's gonna be staying in it at our house.
They do wanna
We
move
can
it up
live
to
together in separate houses.
Like musical chairs with that.
Right. So you're down here right now until the snow's gone.
Yeah.
You're gonna move up there.
Yeah.
And then you'll be up there for the dry months.
Right.
And then, yeah. So correct me if I'm a little off, of course, everybody knows I'm a little off, but, is conditional use permit.
Yeah.
It's a conditional use permit, but I would set it done for there because this is temporary.
And we will move as soon as.
Any other comments from council on that, Mark?
No. We are curious if I heard somebody say that the city no longer allows people to live in, to build new structures that they can put motor homes in, is that true? Or to live in,
It's mobile homes.
I mean, or it's a bit, well,
We do have.
RVs.
Yeah, do we
Tell
deal
her
with
about
that in
the
our
roof.
ordinance? I mean,
Snow.
yeah, we put a permanent snow roof.
And you can live in your RV year round if you do that?
Did we deal with that in that ordinance?
I think it currently is out of against the city ordinance to live year round in
Oh, yeah.
the RV.
It is.
You have to have city hookups, sewer and water. And
If
can
you
be
have
under
to-
You can be under a shelter on your own property. And then there's a provision where, you know, there is an allowance if you're building a house on the property.
Yeah,
Right.
right, so.
But
So-
but you can't live there, you can't live, if you're self-contained, you can't live in the.
You're only supposed to live in an RV in an RV park.
If we wanted to do that, we wanted to build something where we can both have a place and have a communal house that we can pay city on and everything, and just have our RVs separate.
Year round.
Yeah, one of us would be there year round.
And Greg, I think you brought it up, Jane Leatherman was the example where her mother's in a,
Oh,
in
yeah.
a home on the place, but it's temporary as elderly assisted living, and it's gone, when the mother-in-law is gone, then the place is no longer under that.
Yeah,
So you take care of your parents, Zach?
yeah.
But that would still be a conditional use.
Yeah, I don't think, what John said, you know, if, it's gonna be more or less a permanent structure under a permanent roof, hooked up to city services.
It wouldn't be hooked up, it'd be self-contained.
The ordinance
The
is
ordinance would
require you
be-
to hook it up.
Hook it up.
So do you guys not allow like self-contained tiny houses here?
We haven't had that.
How does one go about getting something like that?
Well, it's still fall under a conditional use permit.
Because I think that's a movement.
It is.
People are, I mean, we want to do something like that.
It's hard to do with the ordinance because of water and sewer.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the cargo container thing. We're all gonna be working on the ordinance, and it's another subject that has to come up because these tiny houses are popular. I think they're crazy that they're popular.
We would have electricity.
And there's also a thing with the tiny house movement of the composting toilets, so that's another issue.
That's what we were gonna get.
Yeah, see, that we haven't addressed.
And that you have to go through DEQ for, but there is a requirement that you hook up to city services within 300 feet.
Yeah, it's still over 200 square feet, isn't it?
No. Well, we, you know,
Also,
Wait, why are we talking about the prospective ordinance now? We have told these nice folks they can stay there temporarily, pay $150 and move it out there. I wanna go home.
It sounds like this is another issue for,
It's an ongoing.
amendment to an ordinance or something to be taken up.
A tiny home ordinance.
I'm building a tiny home, so, yeah, we need to deal with it. So in the meantime,
it should be permanent
sleep
structure.
well.
Okay.
As soon as you can move, get that up there, but
So I'll take
come in and
that.
get your conditional use.
We'll do that.
So we can get the check.
We're done.
Yes, got it, sure, Greg.
So if you have a mark, I bought them, I bought them. It would be, so.
In case you don't know. In case you don't know.
There are all these meetings and workshops